She's like, I have an intro. I'm like,
No.
well, this is live, so all is forgiven, right?
Yeah. We'll just do it live.
Do live. Hey, I'm Jessica.
I'm Olivia.
This is Olivia. And we're just going to do it. I own a metaphysical shop, and she is a high school student, and I'm teaching her about different stuff. So this has been fun. We have such deep conversations because I'm also teaching her on philosophy as well and all kinds of cool stuff. And she's picking it up beautifully.
Thank you.
And running with it and really getting it. So, and we, it's only like our second episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we've had a lot of fun so far. And this, I was thinking about our video yesterday, and it's like people were like, "What's it about?" And to try and kind of like summarize it, I'm like, "Wait, there was so many things we talked about."
Yeah.
But that's why I'm glad we chose perspectives and perceptions to title this, because that can mean literally anything.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Tell me more about perspectives. I'm gonna get you talking a little bit today.
Me?
She's
Oh gosh,
like,
this is scary.
she's thinking, I need talking. I'm like, hey, you just need to be
I don't know. I feel like I kind of said everything in the last video that needed
recap
to
a little
be
bit
said.
somebody's first time watching this.
Like of the last video.
Yeah, how we were just discussing like perception and things like that briefly. We were just discussing that you can look at things one way, and they will become so for you.
Yes.
If you think, I perceive this is going to be a negative situation,
and
when
also
I walk
how energy has a huge impact on that.
Right. And then it's like if you already perceive something bad or something is not going to go your way. Yeah.
Just like how I feel like changing your perspective you can make it benefit you if you want it to.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like if you choose to change your perspective in a positive way, then you will get positive outcomes.
Right.
But if you look at, if you have the perspective in a negative way, you're going to see all of the negative things. You know.
Actually, this is a good opportunity to teach you something further about that. Like the second level of that.
Yeah.
Once you've understood that part of it, like you were just saying, of like, oh, I don't have to, the way I approach a situation will determine more what happens. Anyway, one of the thought exercises in Stoicism is to think of all the angles of how things could unfold, including the negative ones.
Right.
So it's a really hard concept for people to understand fully. You can go negative places with it, and it's called, around tip of my tongue, like negative visualization of it. Like, okay, if this negative thing happened, then this would happen. And if you are at the level of mental fortitude, kind of like you've already learned the basics of it, the structure of it, now you can more understand that concept of like thinking freaking bug in my face. Thinking through everything, and that exercise too can be a good thing to help you make decisions. So, makes sense?
A little bit, I think. I don't know. Sometimes I get
maybe lost.
Yeah, sometimes I get a little lost.
Did you know? Put your head down. Oh, that will make you sleepy, actually.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. Well, thank you.
I want to not do this like lessons isolated, and there's so much looking on his face, there's so much going on wrong right now with the world, and we've already said like we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I want to know, Olivia, what is it going on, or just a general question you have within government, civics, politics, stuff like that maybe could clarify.
Like, what's a question that I have about
what don't you understand and would like to know about in government or things going on? I did ask you this before.
I would say probably how we're going to get to that point where we're no longer repeating history in a negative way?
Well, okay. So there's going to be trends and patterns. The most accurate theory of that is called the fourth turning.
Mhm.
Every 80 years, there's different themes
Mhm.
that will come up from the society.
Right.
Like in my generation, and being like in the Iraq War, we would be called the hero generation.
Mhm.
The one after that will be the children raised by them. So they're the artist generation. And there's 4 of them. I'm not going to get into fully.
Right.
What I'm saying is the patterns through history are
Mhm.
going to happen.
Mhm.
Whether or not we approach each different turning, kind of like 4 seasons,
Right.
really. And we're in winter, by the way, so everything's going to die, and then we're going to be rebirthed. So as we approach each different turning, the way in which we've handled ourselves beforehand will determine the impact of it. What am I trying to say? We can take it in 2 different ways. We can grow through it, or we can annihilate each other and do war about it
Mhm.
to reset it,
Right.
kind of thing. So we can get there and have more favorable outcomes. Your original question, which was like, do we have to keep repeating this?
Right.
There will be patterns. That is just life. We're going to repeat winter every single year.
Right.
But learning history, learning about things, actually, that's why we're kind of doing this, is to
Mhm.
let people know we've been bad before. How do we get out of it?
Right.
Let's look where we were in history in these different circumstances. How you were telling me in history class you learn about the Holocaust.
Mhm.
That's a great example.
Right.
You know, we don't want to repeat those things. There's going to be situations that come up. Now we understand the ramifications of that and things we can do to prevent it.
Right.
Since we're, learning about it.
That makes sense.
Awesome. Did I bore you to death?
No.
Okay, good. Do you understand what I was saying?
Yes.
Okay. That was so fun. Definitely. Did you want to, you have any other question? I'm putting you on the spot too much.
A little bit, because I don't really
sorry.
know.
I'm sorry.
No. I just don't. I don't know what to say. I don't know about government and all that stuff.
Well, we don't have to talk about government stuff. This is perspectives and perception.
Mhm.
So even if something you want to say that has happened positively towards you, or even give an example we were talking about
Right.
positive stuff like that.
I don't know.
I mean, we'll start talking philosophers too. Did you do your homework this time?
What homework?
But I sent you the link we were talking about. The thing you told me that you read it. That I sent you last night about the Thomas.
I just never clicked the links, but I did read.
that's
I did
fine.
read what you sent me.
What did you think about that, or what do you remember from it? I guess.
I think he's a very interesting person. I kind of think there's a reason that school didn't involve him in the lesson. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Really? What do you mean?
Like, there's a lot of people out there that have so much more information about things than we think.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't like how much information we're being gatekept in order to be controlled. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that that's your takeaway from it, because it's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
I think another thing that can tie that on, like current event wise too,
Mm-hmm.
this last year, especially with the GameStop and the stock. I don't know if you remember all that.
What
Okay.
happened with
So,
GameStop?
well, what? Ooh, good. We get to talk.
Yeah, I'm like kind of interested in that. 'Cause I used to play
Okay.
video games all the time, so I want to know what happened.
Right. And they've actually been dropping off since then, just with everything.
GameStop?
No. Listen. Their stock was at a certain price. Like the company was worth a certain price, but it was below what some people thought it would. I'm just kind of going by memory. I'm probably not, I'm just going to
Yeah.
explain the bigger picture is people said, hey, if we invest in this, we can raise this stock, basically. They had a plan to skew the market. There was a app on the phone now, so you can just say, oh, I want to buy stock in this company.
Right.
Called Robinhood.
Uh-huh.
So what happened is all these normal average people started investing in that, and it started going up. And the larger shareholders, like people who owned more of it instead of like somebody who put $36 in,
Right.
they had 36,000. So they start freaking out because now it's inflated really high, can create a lot of problems.
Right.
So the big controversy was that they capped it and made it like they couldn't buy it. They cut the ability of it just because rich people said to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, more details I can't even remember at the moment, but the takeaway was that the banking system as we know it, investments, speculation on markets and stuff, which is like kind of guessing the price,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff is just fucking made up. Excuse me, I'm cussing already. It's made up. It is just made up
Yeah.
and so controlled by larger people that actually have their hands in it. Let me just finish this one point. The full conclusion, girl, is that people were a glimpse out of the matrix of a lot of things and how much power the individual can hold versus
Yes. I was going to say that I feel like there's so many things in life that are secretly being controlled that we don't even really seem to question. And I feel like it confuses me that people aren't constantly okay. If I were to give out one lesson in the whole entire world, it would be to question everything. And I say that because I feel like people don't question things enough, and it can be very frustrating sometimes.
Right.
Because it's very difficult to make differences when you can't get people to open their eyes and see what's really going on. And then everyone just continues to suffer because everyone doesn't want to see the truth. And I think there's a lot of things in life that are being controlled by people and are impacting us in a negative way.
Yes. And along with that, it's like some people will just say, okay, I don't know this. And they never ask why or took the time to learn. So they're just kind of like, I don't know. What is even worse is the people that are convinced of something
Right.
to be so, even when they have no knowledge on it, they've never asked why.
That is so frustrating. It's like people are just settling to, like you said yesterday, just to be average. Like people just want to settle for
they want to be part of the crowd.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to think, so I'm gonna think this way.
When you're average though, it's like you don't have to put in so much effort to try to see the truth. Like people are just okay with being lied to. Like I feel like there's a certain point where people know they're being lied to and they're just like, because we're working all the time and we're being put to work all the time, so we're so
the camera.
we're so exhausted that we don't have the energy to question things or to make changes at all. And that's the thing, it's like they want us to continuously be
they don't want the average person to get rich,
right? And they want us to continuously be busy and distracted because we won't have time to slow down and actually see what's going on around us
or explore what our interests are in our lives. There's so many people that are talented in different ways, and they have to put food on the table, they have to pay their bills, and it just becomes this pattern people get in where they're just like, I'm gonna work and work and work and not take time for myself, my thing that fulfills me.
I was this is so weird, but I was watching this movie Soul. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It's very
I think I know a little bit about it.
It's very
I've seen like
interesting,
previews at least.
so interesting. And I saw this on TikTok one time. But basically in part of the movie, there's like these little tiny blue people and they're given their gifts and like their natural talents and what they're good at in life. And then there was this like one little evil blue character that was trying to distract all of them from not having talents and instead having the focus to dominate the world and kind of like be evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I noticed that a part of it was that in order to convince the little kids to like be evil and take over the world and all this stuff, she didn't want them to discover their talents and what they're good at. And I
Like
feel
that
like
was the most nefarious
yes,
thing. That
and
was
I feel like in a
wow.
way our talents
Wow.
bring so much power to us as humans, because like we were mentioning yesterday in the video,
Mhm.
Your talents and your gifts and what you're good at can also be used as the best form for yourself when it comes to manifesting, or
That
learning.
ties back into what we were talking about with Thomas Reed
Mhm.
and all the other stuff with know thyself and
Mhm.
everything.
Right. Because that's the thing. It's like when you're not taking the time to be alone and you're not trying to know thyself and
Mhm.
know the things
Think
that
about
spark
if you're being lied
yes,
to.
and that spark your power and kind of spark your light. When you're being distracted from that, you're so much more easily controlled. And I feel like it also takes away a sense of purpose in a way. Like I feel like one of the biggest problems we have in life right now is a lot of people don't have a sense of purpose, for so many reasons. And I don't know, it breaks my heart, because when you don't think you have a sense of purpose, why would you want to fight for
Mhm.
things to be better? You know what I mean? To
Well,
get better.
and a lot of people find that comfort in a traditional religion.
Right.
And I think we're getting at a time where I don't know exactly what it is. People were saying the awakening, a new kind of awakening, like we were talking about a little bit yesterday with enlightenment. That's what it was. People were starting to see things differently, even in their spirituality and their religion
Right.
too. It was the religions they were leaving in the Church of England, they started to feel God.
Right.
God's presence in the different aspects of their life. And it opened up so many other things.
Mhm.
And with that would be beautiful to happen now, because not every church and the churches have corrupted themselves. I don't need to even talk about it.
Right.
What worse can you say than, it's just not for everybody.
Right.
The ethics of it do not fit everybody. They don't agree with it. So, I think we're looking at spirituality in our own way,
I think
finding purpose.
I kind of had like a realization that people not only love being comfortable, but they also like to follow religions so easily rather than trying to kind of discover the truth on their own,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of having a set religion, like this is what I believe in, this is what I follow,
Mm-hmm.
they're not trying to really take the time to be alone.
They're not asking why, like everything
Yes,
else.
and that's, I don't know, I have so many questions for so many things. It's like when I get into a religion, like I need to know certain things. Like I can't just so easily blindly follow something without really having the like I don't you know what I mean? It's like when I found spirituality, of course,
something that actually sparks something in your soul that
right.
you understand.
And see, that's the
to
thing.
be
It's like spirituality. I saw this post last night, and it was talking about how spirituality isn't a religion. It's like
true. Yeah.
it's like it can be whatever you want it to look like in a way. You know what I mean?
However you understand God
Right.
or your
I don't know. I
creator or
feel
higher.
like one of the biggest parts of spirituality is discovering yourself and discovering what your truths are, rather than following so blindly what other people have made the truth over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and have like fit into a box. Like this is the truth, and if you don't,
Yeah.
and it's like, I'm not even trying to be like controversial or anything, but how a lot of religions are, saying if you don't believe in this, then,
Yeah.
bad things will
Then
happen.
you're going to hell forever.
Right.
And you're gonna burn,
And it's like, it's really,
know.
it's kind of very concerning how they push you into a corner of like, if you don't believe in this, then this will happen or something. But it's like
It's
with
a control
spirituality,
through fear.
yes, exactly. And there's a lot of control through fear in our world
Mm-hmm.
today that keeps us from really reaching our full power as humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just with spirituality, it's never felt like a forceful thing. The best way that I can describe it is it feels so flowy and so natural to be,
Mm-hmm.
around.
Maybe I can put words to this a little bit, because
Mhm.
my understanding and why I've just accepted that people want to say pagan and, I don't care what people call it. I get my understanding of the divine from nature, but
Mhm.
not like, you know, there are some pagans that do certain nature walks, and I don't mean like that. I'm looking for, I guess my understanding of the divine is
Mhm.
seeing how different things operate in the universe, how every night the sun goes away and the moon comes out, and how this other
Right.
thing, the different seasons, just as we were talking about seasons a moment ago, when I'm seeing these things that go on, and it just I can't, now I'm like at a place I can't understand it. But that's just why I
Right.
say paganism overall, because I do these things in because this is what seems to be accurate with a lot of the different things we talk about with astrology and all this other kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
that feels right to me.
Right.
Like, and me, and you know me well enough to know that I try to like poke holes in literally every theory
Right.
about
No,
everything.
yeah, for sure, same.
So this is what I've landed on for now, but you know.
No, yeah, definitely. And that'd be another thing. You're like, I kind of like that.
Well, no,
Yeah.
actually, I started out in, we need to talk about how you started out with spirituality,
Mhm.
but I will just say for myself, I kind of never wasn't introduced to it. It was just part of the way I grew up.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't have like some revolutionary story, but I have like stories of things
I
and
will say that,
everything.
like,
But
finding out. What?
let me just finish say this real quick, because it ties into something that I accidentally passed on to you when I started saying what is kind of religions and different religions, and I settled. That sounded awful. The first one I really started diving into and resonating with
Mhm.
was the concepts within Buddhism.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where I started opening up to, okay, what does this culture believe? What is this? And this concept of, you know, divinely making things right. Like, I kind of get
Right.
that. So, sorry, what were you saying?
I I really like pulling certain things from certain religions and taking whatever resonates with me and leaving what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Focus
I
on morality versus doctrine.
I feel like having any like identifying as any set religion is something that really stresses me out because I don't think that I came into this world to really think about religions. It's honestly just life and how life is. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes any
I
sense,
mean,
but
that
it's
actually
like
kind of sounds like paganism in my understanding
yes,
too,
right. It
to an
like
extent, you
the
know?
way that I think about it is I just came to this earth and I'm just here to learn and grow and to experience. And I'm not here to overthink if there is someone in the sky judging my every move. You know what I mean?
It's like you
And
should have the accountability within yourself to do that right thing with your moves,
right,
with your
right.
actions, keeping them in line with your morals versus worrying about your eternal soul burning. You're
And it's
saying, if
very
I do this act now, will it spread more good?
right. And it's also very like frustrating always having to justify why you aren't part of a certain religion. You know what I mean? Like people will judge you and they will get so upset if you're not like a certain religion.
Yeah.
And, no shade, but I'm just like,
I throw it to you.
I just don't, yeah, I don't understand. Like, the way that I like to operate is I will, learn and talk about religions and whatever really feels like it resonates with my soul. Like, I want to take that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for me, what has felt right is using unconditional love or trying to at least getting to that point, like using unconditional love in every single circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like that, yeah.
And a lot of religions will they will on paper talk about that
Hmm.
and be called to put that into practice, but it never actually unfolds the way with unconditional love. So it's like at some
Right.
point, back to enlightenment philosophers, you have to strip away what is just the BS, what is the power structure,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, you're leaving people empty within your
Right.
own church or conflicted, because
Mhm.
I know, like, I'm just gonna say it bluntly, there's certain people that are like, oh, you want to come to church with me? And I'm like, no, because
No, I do
you
not.
are affiliated with that church, and somebody might think I'm affiliated with you. So it's kind of like you take on all the good and bad when you become part of a church family.
Right.
And
Right.
that doesn't sit well with me. Somebody
Right.
sees the fault of this guy beating his wife. I shouldn't say that for you too, but you know, that kind of evil person,
Mhm.
and they're going to such and such church, and then it gets out of that, like, oh, weren't you part of the congregation? Well, I guess that's what they do in that church.
Right.
Like, that irks
You
me,
know, it's
because
like
you know why? It's like a lack of autonomy for myself. Like, I
right.
want to be independent with whereas somebody else's morals aren't reflecting on me.
Right, exactly. And you know, I grew up Christian, like my family grew me up Christian, and I
One side of the family did, but that's a story for you. Oh, go on.
I
Did it give you a foundation, sort of, you mean?
I was gonna say I grew up Christian, but I always realized like no matter how much I tried to commit to it, I never could. And it almost felt like I literally started to feel guilty with um identifying myself as a Christian because I felt like I wasn't able to commit to the ideas that just were not resonating with me. Like there were so many things that I read in the Bible, and while reading them, it's like it really made me just feel very like I didn't like it. You know what I mean? Like there were certain things, and not even just Christianity, but just other religions. Like you'll read it, and you're like, that just doesn't sit very well with
Mm-hmm.
me. You know what I mean?
And there's been off and on times in my life where I call myself a Christian, and I got from one side of the family the spirituality, like this whole other side, but my mom wasn't religious in a sense, but she was extremely gifted psychically. She just didn't go to church. But
Right.
this is hilarious. My grandmother is very religious,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't really know what to do with me being as strange of a child as I was.
Right.
So she would come and pick me up some Sundays and take me to either Southern Baptist or Pentecostal church. I don't know if you know anything about those, but it's not Joel Osteen.
What's that?
It's not like for everybody, non-denomination. Ooh, let's have love. It's kind of they call hellfire and brimstone kind of situation where it's like you're gonna burn in hell.
Oh my gosh, that's
Um,
like scary.
That's Southern Baptist is very structured like that. I'm gonna be very kind.
See, I feel like
Pentecostal.
Mhm.
Good.
I was gonna say I feel like your religion should not make you feel deathly afraid of certain things.
Because that is
Maybe
when you understand fear is control. It's kind of like,
right
whoa, why are you trying to
because
terrify me?
because for me, it's like obviously if you have a religion, and you believe in a God, that God is gonna have certain boundaries that are like, okay, well, this makes you a bad person, this makes you a good person. That's like understandable, but I feel like, when I was a Christian, I used to be so afraid of so many things. And, okay, this is so random, but I do feel like it's on topic. And basically, yesterday, how we were talking about looking at truths in an objective way, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I never want people to think that, okay, I know this sounds strange, but I do think that religion, like multiple religions, can exist in a universe and all of it be right for whoever chooses to follow that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I have not necessarily like I fully believe that, but it's kind of like a theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like for me, I mean, I don't really have a religion.
I like that. But
Yeah, like I don't really have a religion, but certain things resonate with me. But with another person, if would the right word be coexisting? Isn't that when like two things exist? And
yes.
it's kind of like I feel like how certain ideas and religions can coexist rather than being forced to feel like you have to choose like one and that be the only right religion,
Mm.
because and I also think about like parallel realities and how multiple universes exist, and it's like then that means that there are multiple, like there's so many chances and opportunities for multiple things to be coexisting rather than there just being one thing that is right or one thing that is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But just a random thought I had.
Do you know what I think about what other people believe about God? Nothing at all. I choose not to have an opinion.
Right.
I just worry about myself primarily, which goes without saying, just human life in general, if it is good or if it is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else, if the Christians' God is right, I cannot save them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're right, that's great. If it's all we just disseminate out in the universe as lovely energy atoms, maybe.
Right.
I'm not sure. And just part of the freedom of Stoicism is understanding your mind can go so many different places if you allow it, but you have to say, is it, and this is another reason I have a problem with the Christian church, with how they make you want to believe this way. It is not my job to, convert anybody or convince anybody or anything, or worry about how they interpret God. If they're not hurting anybody and they're this religion or that religion, it's the same thing, but I just don't try to even put things in a box with it. You know what I'm saying? Because you can exhaust yourself with that.
Also, coming from someone who never really seen, it's kind of like how certain people might jump from religion to religion, like they want to learn more. But I feel like for me, it's like the concept of I never have a set idea on anything. I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and I was like, I really like the idea of never being fully set on something that I believe. Because there have been so many things that I've had such strong opinions about in the past, and I was like, I know I'm right. And then my entire perspective changed and shifted, and then I was like, no, I wasn't right about that. And I just think about how, like, I feel like no one should ever be fully set on something that they strongly believe in, because you can always have a change in perspective. So when I see other people having different religions or beliefs, it's like I never even really allow just standing there and saying, no, like that religion's wrong. It doesn't resonate with me at all. Like when I see people doing what they want to do with the religion, I'm like, you know what, good for you. Like, because maybe you are right. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm right and maybe you're wrong, or maybe we're all right because we can all coexist, or maybe we're all just wrong, right? Or maybe we are just on a rock that's going to explode someday. Like maybe nothing's actually that deep. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I think about all these things, and I like having the choice to not be so set on certain things, because it allows me to freely explore life without being so set on ideas of things. And I honestly, how I told you a while ago how I wanted to become more of like a flowy person? I feel like that goes hand in hand with it. Like being a flowy person for me basically means that I can flow through life and I can explore life without being so like putting like my beliefs and everything into a box, because next Monday my belief about this one thing could change. But there are, like, I still want to be able to like talk with people and teach people about my views, because planting seeds, like I said yesterday, is important. Just
dropping a little bit of nugget of information, so if they're interested, they can grow with that how they want.
And the thing is, when you put your voice out there and you talk about things that resonate with you, that could and maybe next Monday I'll change my mind and I won't believe it anymore, but what if that resonates with the person that watched?
Totally.
Right. So maybe it might not even be my belief anymore, but the fact that I put it out there like last Tuesday or something, like this, this random person's like, oh my gosh, like this really, really resonates with me, and I think it's really cool how there's so many religions and so many ideas, and we can all put them out there to really see, because at the end of the day, if all religions can coexist with each other, and that is the way that the universe works, like if that was the way it is, then that's really cool that we get to pick and choose what resonates with us and what doesn't.
I mean, I feel like we are given the free will freedom of movement, and most importantly, freedom of complex thought and sentience and all this other stuff. So
Right.
why would we be given that, whether it is evolution or whatever intervention or creation?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'd be given those gifts to do that
Right.
just for another human being to tell us what we need to do with that.
Right.
We can observe it is better to live with other humans and get along and create kindness and, or, be better people. But
Right.
if it's coming from a place of control, that
Right.
doesn't mesh.
And you know
at
how
all.
we all have different gifts and talents that are able to coexist.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so then why can't other, aspects and parts of our life coexist also?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you get to go outside and be like, singing is the only thing that's right. If you read, or if you like to make art, or if you like to garden, you're wrong. It's like, why can't we just come together and share all of our ideas about things and really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, because at the end of the day, I feel like, deep down our soul, we have like a moral compass inside of us. Like
Yes.
what is, not right and what's wrong, but just like what really does resonate with us. And if we all come together and we can all kind of like put that out there, and without having judgment or without having control, like you have to believe this religion, when we just freely put it out there and plant seeds, if someone resonates with it, they'll take it. I feel like they'll take it faster than if you were to go up to them and try to push it on them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just like we were talking about yesterday with living it versus talking
Mhm.
about it.
Right.
But I love all the philosophical thoughts coming out of Olivia. I feel so proud as teaching you
Thank
philosophy. And it's not like I taught you every single bit. I just planted enough and gave you enough information to start asking
Right.
questions on this other kind of level and uncovering things, because you're getting control of your emotions
Right.
more. Like that's going to be, I'll tell you now, probably the rest of our lives figuring that one out. But just that little bit more insight can get you further with your why questions.
Right.
And question things.
Right.
But we need to wrap it up soon. But this has been so fun.
I feel like this was more of like a chill video, but I feel like that's good because I feel like the last one we were like all over the place, like in a good way. Like we were very like focused.
Yeah.
And then today we're more like,
Well, hey, just like every season changes and every single day changes and every day is going to feel different. So, people are saying like, what's your YouTube channel going to be about? Or how are you going to do this? Or are you going to do this or that, the other? I'm just like,
see, I feel like
let's do what makes us, like, we don't always have to be, hi, we're gonna
talk about this today. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, it's really just a video of us just talking
Just-
about random things that.
And some days we're like full makeup and it's lighting and there's friends and stuff, and some days it's just a Friday chill session.
Yeah, for like right.
I love it.
Yeah, but I feel like we made a lot of good points. I don't know. Yeah, because I never really talk about religion that much or my views on it. I actually never really specified. So I guess
it's helping you discover.
It's kind of like
yourself.
Helping me discover like really how I do feel about these aspects, because I never think about it because it stresses me out so much that I just prefer to like stay away.
Mm-hmm.
But today
that's what teachers are for.
But yeah, today kind of like forced me to actually be like, okay, well, what do you think about religion? Like, what do you think about, politics and certain things like that? So I feel like that's probably why, like, I didn't have a lot to say, but I feel like what I said was good.
I pulled it out of you.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you for watching. If you watched till the end, this is so much fun. We're going to do this as much as we feel like it, because we're not in a structure and not in a box, and we can just chill some Fridays.
Bye.